Welcome to another episode of Threads of Enlightenment. And you guys know that this is my favorite part, at least one of them, is welcoming our guests because I know that they're coming with a couple of things I personally deem very expensive. That is their time. 24 hours is given to every single man and woman on this planet. How we respect time, how we honor her, how we look at her will tell us a lot about your life. The other is the journey. The journey is a powerful creator. It created Greg that is before us. And so we want to honor him for coming and spending both of these precious commodities with us to assist you and I so that we can become better human spirits while we're here on this planet Earth. Greg, thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment.
I appreciate you having me today, Ken. Very kind of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. As I said to you, one of the questions that I always ask, and again, I this is much more so for my audience, the listeners, as it is for you, because I want them to understand that it's more than just them. This journey on this planet is more than just yourself. It's about others. And so the question that I pose to you, how do you serve mankind?
Ken, I help people be able to do what they want when they want on there. So my goal is to help as many people as I can get what they want, or that is how I will get what I want.
Yeah. They train us that way as when I was back in sales and as a young buck coming in and learning the art of negotiation and so forth, and the win-win negotiation that I was taught in even when I went into managed care and healthcare as well. I used to negotiate for contracts for companies, and so we had to learn all these wonderful techniques. As you are, I love that you assist others and to get what they want. One of the things that we handle here, how we move through our podcast, is we revisit some of those spaces, Greg, that I tell people that we reside for a few years, the family, educational system, meaning high school, junior high, and stuff at college. And then we go into the professional world. And then, we head into life and all these different things. And we visit those locations. Each one of them have their own laws and regulations, if you will. They program you and I. What was your family like?
Oh, we were probably considered somewhat lower middle class on that. Never really had a whole lot of money. So I actually had to become an entrepreneur, so to speak, at a younger age in order to get the things I wanted that did cost any money on that. So I started out as a very young age thinking about different ways about how I could just either help others or just go out there and find ways to make money.
How old were you, Greg, when those thoughts were circling in your brain, if you will, in your thought field as a young individual? How old were you?
About 10 or 12, about then.
Wow. That's impressive to have for a young man at that age or a young individual at that years to have those thoughts that he is looking outside of the box, if you will. Entrepreneurial thinking is one that looks outside of the mainstream programming of college school. So where did you think, Greg, that you picked that up from? Who was in your sphere that had conversations like that or was an entrepreneur? How did you pick up that?
It just came naturally, Ken. I didn't have anybody at all on there. Mom and dad worked all the time. I like to read books, but if I wanted to buy my own books, then I had to find a way to finance them myself. So I had to just start thinking about different things and different ways to do things. So I started out collecting bottles back in the day when I was that young. The bottles used to go for you turn them in for 10 cents, and then aluminum cans. They had the aluminum can collector downtown. So was lived in a small town. So I and some of my friends, we collect aluminum cans, and once we got a lot of them, we turn them in and we turn the bottles in for our 10 cents. People discarded them all the time, and we went out and got them. So I had a little team together, and we just went out and do that and made some money for ourselves.
Craig, that's impressive because most young boys, at least that age, we are just hooked in, if you will, into the system and in our mindset. We are not thinking that way. Where you at, you hear your entrepreneurial skills begin to kick in. Also, team leadership, your leadership skills are there, and all of the little seedlings, if you will, that you will utilize later on in your life with people are starting at such a young age. So here you are. How did you, with this young man, how did he manage himself in college? Not let's go high school first, because I'm curious as to how this young man is functioning in high school, Greg.
Let's see. Once I got to high school, right before high school, I actually had in junior high, I had a paper route. So I did the paper route while going to school. I think I did that in the mornings and on weekends, or sometimes in the afternoon after I got out of school. Then I went to high school. High school was pretty good. For the first couple of years in high school, I didn't do any outside jobs on there other than the paper route. But I did very well in high school on that. Generally excelled in math, and then went on to, actually, I picked up a couple of jobs in high school. So what I did, as soon as so I did that, collecting the aluminum cans, and I got into junior high. That's when I started doing the paper route.
Mm-hmm.
And I deliver papers usually after school and on weekends. That was back in the day when we go door to door, collecting for the Democrat, collecting money from people on that. But I always did very well in high school and in junior high. I really applied myself during that, so it came pretty easy. I was really good at math, so they actually skipped me ahead a couple grades for my math studies. So I was working with older students at that time during math. But then during high school, I also I got a couple other jobs. Got my job at Taco Bell at 16, and then I was a busboy as well when I was 16. Basically, by that time, I had taken enough classes and advanced enough where I didn't need to take the full array of classes. I got most of my classes out of the way. So usually by about noon, I was done with the school. Still got great grades, got about a 3.5 grade point average. But then I went on to Taco Bell, which was actually my first foray into franchising on that, because I was actually working for a master franchisor over at Taco Bell. I didn't know it at the time that I was doing that. But she had owned 50 restaurants, the Taco Bell restaurants throughout the Woodland, California, Sacramento, California area. And I helped her run those. So high school was a lot of fun. I was on that cross country team as well. Ran cross country, ran track. I was also on the swim team when I was 12 on that. So I tried to stay in good shape, tried to stay athletic, keep my body going as well as my mind. Always trying to learn and do new and different things. And I really enjoyed working at Taco Bell because I actually got to skip a week of high school so I could go manage one of her restaurants on there. I thought that was the greatest thing in the world, to skip a week of school so I could manage one of her restaurants for her over in Davis while the manager was on vacation. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that.
How old were you, Greg, when where you are afforded the opportunity to manage a franchise by as the leading of franchise?
I think I just turned, or about to turn, I was about 17 or 18. I think I just turned 18 on that. Might have been 17, right around that age.
That's impressive that the folks around you notice and recognize that leadership skill that you exhibited at 10 years old as you're moving through life. Here you are, you're getting into the mix, if you will, as to your life. You're getting your first taste of franchise. And you're also spending time with this lady who had what mindset, what was her belief that you saw? What did you see in her that made you look at the others differently? Because we know that entrepreneurial folks, they think different, they speak different, they walk different, talk different. Being amongst there, what did you start to learn with that mindset, Greg?
Having other people, helping them advance themselves and get better at themselves. And by doing that, then you could turn them over, your restaurants over to them and let them do the work while you mentored them and helped them grow on that. Therefore, you weren't working in the business all the time. You were working more on the business. And that's what she did. She worked on her business, not in it, so that it grew on its own with her mentorship and her help by helping other people advance and learn more and become managers like myself. She helped me grow into the manager on that. So by doing that and by helping others realize their potential on that, then she could then turn them over in her restaurants so that she could expand her business empire.
Yeah, that's a powerful lesson, man, to grasp. Again, being a young man coming in at the stage of beginning his life, his independent life, if you will, from the home and all that type of stuff at 17, 18. That's some powerful lessons to learn, to have that instill in you as you're looking out to this individual, as you are there and learning the art of functioning within that space. What was happening to Greg? What was he like, that guy in there in that mix with all of this stuff going on around him?
It was a great experience learning to motivate others and realizing, the personal interactions that you need to have on that, putting yourself in other people's shoes, getting to know other people, what their issues were, and how to help them overcome some of their daily life issues, and really teaching them how to become a better servants. Actually, because when you're in that type of industry, where you're in the restaurant type industry, you're working with clients. Obviously, it's not fast food, so it's not really in depth. But still, there's a lot of people that, especially people that we hired right during high school and stuff. They're just the young kids. I wasn't all that old anyway. I was still there too. But you had to teach them how to interact with others, how to work with people, not only with your customers, but also as employees, how to interact, how to work with each other, how to get along, and how to work as a team. So I developed my team building skills, and just really learned a lot about, interactions with teams and how people affect each other, and really how to motivate people and keep them very positive, so that everybody had a great experience. Not only the customers, but your employees always wanted to be treated well also. And so I went around to her various restaurants, built up her sales, built up her team for her on that. But that was a great experience, learning how to develop teams, how to motivate teams, and how to manage teams.
As you're learning all of that, can you speak to this phenomenon? Because again, I've been there, and there's a lot of you guys that are listening to Greg and I that are maybe contemplating stepping out in the realm of entrepreneurship. Speak to, because you saw a lot of human behavior and how human behavior can affect one's mindset, which affect one's performance. Talk to that a little, Greg, as to how did you address that? Because again, you're seeing all these people, and these folks are having all kinds of issues amongst their families and friends, whatever. But that relationship and or those different types of relationships and their mindset within those relationships can really affect outcome in the individual, which will then affect performance and all this other stuff. How did you learn to assist someone in that position, if you will, with that situation that is happening with them? Because there's a lot of salespeople that are stuck right there.
Yeah, it's really about getting to know the people that you're working with. What issues they have on a regular basis. With me and developing the teams, it was really treating the people right. You treat your people right, then they'll treat others right as well. So what you just need to do was make certain that when they came in, to work and to do their jobs, that it was always a positive, upbeat place to do it. And you needed to, and I needed to help others realize their dreams, because a lot of those problems can be overcome basically by becoming a better person, by managing yourself, managing your time better, managing your emotions better as well, so that you could build from there, and you just take that home with you. And the things that you learned at work that I taught them. And Kathy, the one that was the master franchiser, she was a great mentor to work with on that, and she really helped me build the team and how to do the team building exercises on that. So we had regular meetings where we get together, we talk about all the issues that we have, anything that was happening at work that they had maybe some challenges with on there, some of the things they liked or didn't like that were going on. So we could talk through everything on there. So always really kept it open and honest talks, about what was going on in life and how we could help them overcome any issues they were having. So getting to know the team on that, keeping a positive attitude, making certain you had open conversations with everybody on a regular basis, whether it be in a group environment or one-on-one, always was a big plus, big help.
Yeah, I hope you guys heard that. And many of you, I remember as a young man when I ventured into sales, and when my situation with family would start affecting, and as Greg had talked about, you have to learn how to manage your emotions as an individual. And as you begin to learn how to manage your emotions, you'll be able to manage everything. And once you be able to manage everything, you'll be fine. You'll see how things move into play once you get whole. Remember that it's you, and don't look all the time outside. Just look at you. And when you start to fix you, your situations will change, and it will do it rapidly. Trust me. As far as when you look and focus on you, don't look at anyone else. Just look at you first, and then you'll see that situation will disappear because you were the one that was looking at it at a certain perspective, and that perspective that you was looking at, that was the one thing that was troubling you. But once you switch your perspective, you'd be amazed how there's no problem anymore. So here you are, Greg, you're moving through life. You're this young man that's given this opportunity. You're there with this master teacher, as you stated, and you're learning, you're developing team, recognizing human behavior, all of those powerful things that an individual is learning. And you're moving through your life now. You are an older young man dealing with what, when you were there and 17, 18, going through, what future did you see? Which direction did you head into being in that system already? Where did you see yourself fitting in, Greg, with all of that happening with the stores, all those different, how did you look at yourself and where did you see yourself fitting in that?
I like managing people. I like managing the restaurants. It was a lot of fun. So I wanted to move up at that point in time and start managing bigger restaurants, different restaurants. So after about 4 years at Taco Bell, I switched over to a Lions restaurant, which is kind of like, for those who don't know what that one was, it was in Northern California. It's like an upscale Denny's restaurant, 24-hour restaurant. So then I moved on to managing that. I had 50 employees, 2 assistant managers, a kitchen manager, 2 assistant kitchen managers. And I did that altogether about 15 years in the restaurant industry. And that's all I want to do is just managing the bigger restaurants, manage more people. And so I did that altogether for about 15 years.
Wow. When you made that jump, I know all of us, when we're moving from one space to another, expectations that we carry or we have. And then when we get there, Greg, reality and expectation are 2 different things. What did you run into when you got there? Because again, it's a desire to move up. And then when you got there are always challenges, but the challenges will always make you. When you got there, what difference did you see being in a higher, more employee arena versus a smaller place?
Delegation of authority was very essential at that point in time, because I could manage the entire Taco Bell team on my own on that, even though I did have a couple of assistant managers to step in when I wasn't there on there, what we call the assistant managers or relief managers when I wanted to go on vacation or take some time off. There's others to do it. But with a bigger place like that, you really had to delegate that authority. So I couldn't handle necessarily all 50 employees by myself. So I would delegate then that to my assistant managers, and they would pick, one would have maybe the hosts, hostesses, and some of the waiters. The other one would handle the rest of the waiting staff on that. The kitchen manager then would handle the bus boys and the kitchen staff, and then they would handle all the hiring, the evaluations on that. Then I would go through that material and I would evaluate my kitchen managers, assistant kitchen managers, assistant managers. So I'd manage that team, made it a little bit smaller for me, and turn the rest over to them. And then I just had to work with them on a regular basis to make sure we had the right people in the right spots. But delegation of authority, Ken, was probably the biggest thing at that point in time that I had to take a step up to do, realizing that I couldn't handle everything myself.
Yeah. Again, I am pulling these things out of Greg because I want you, the listeners, to see at each level what goes on, what can be one piece that many of you guys may have made that jump, and you're sitting there and you have a bigger staff, and you feel lost. And that I remember when I became a director of marketing and I had a bigger department. I remember it's taking a couple of days, and first of all, you're excited that you got it because you've been pushing to get there for a while, and then the reality of what's going on. And one of the key things that I had to learn, as Greg stated, was to learn your leadership, to delegate. You have to now trust people, and you have to allow them to be, and to teach them to be bigger and better than you, so that you can pull aside. So here you are, you've done it for 15 years. Why did you move from there? And what was it happening in your life at that time that says, I need to make a jump, another pivot, if you will?
Well, the main thing was I got bored with doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
The other thing was it was a 24-hour restaurant. So, you wouldn't get too many calls in the middle of the night, but occasionally you would. And then I'd have to work some nights in that. But after 15 years, that was just about enough of that. So I demoted myself down to waiter and went to college and got a degree in electrical engineering and physics, and then moved on to become a microelectronic circuit engineer over at Motorola Semiconductor.
I haven't heard Motorola in a long time, man. As far as stuff like that, that's back in the day, Greg. You just gave us an insight as to the age limit there. So I love it. Reinventing yourself, guys. It's sometimes it's necessary, and the reason why boredom. I tell people boredom and unhappiness and things like that, those markers are trying to let you know that you haven't arrived yet. And not to look at it as a bad thing. Look at it as what it is. It's there to make you begin to look outside of where you're at, and not to become depressed about it or all that type of stuff, but begin to investigate, okay, why is this here? And what do I need to do to make that shift? And you will get it. Just don't panic yet, guys. There's nothing in life you need to panic. You just need to sit down and relax and grab where you're at, and then you will begin to tap into that subconscious part of you that has some answers when you're quiet, and your subconscious mind will begin to speak when you have those uneasiness. It is there for a purpose. It's simply there to tell you that it's time to move, and so you need to get in there. So be aware of that. So here you are. You've made what a leap, Greg. What a leap! I mean, why did you go that direction?
I was always good at math and physics.
Yeah.
Always.
Okay.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Then my dad was an engineer. He was an industrial engineer. Grandpa was a mechanical engineer. My older sister had gone to college as a chemical engineer. So there was no electrical engineers in the family. So I thought, there you go. I'll just pick electrical engineering.
I love it. Just put one more. So you're in the energetic field, if you will, of engineers, the mind of, and how they approach things and so forth. You're there. You got all the things. You're out. I want to know, how did you head back in to the franchise piece? Because being in the space of the electrical engineer and stuff like that, again, that could be a mundane type of work. Once you get there, it could be fun. I did it when I used to build flight simulators with Grumman. So I know, and then there's times when it's just like it bore your mind out of your body out of your mind out of your body. So when you were there in that field, Greg, what made you shift and pivot again out of it?
Basically, Ken, I got bored again. And there was actually, again, too many hours. I was doing about 7 to 5 on that one. So while I was there, I got my master's degree in business. And so when I got my master's degree in business, I read Robert Kiyosaki's Dad, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Well, that just about ruined my corporate career for me on that one. So I bought some rental properties, did some real estate. Another engineering friend of mine and myself, we got a dry cleaners, privately owned dry cleaners, and some storage units. So we did that as our side hustle at that time while we were being engineers at that. So eventually, what it really came down to, not only was I bored, but my heart just wasn't in it anymore doing it. Now, I love the work. I didn't like being there from 7 to 5. That was just too much. So one of the managers finally realized what I had probably already realized myself, was that my heart wasn't in it anymore. So got laid off. And my partner, who was doing the other businesses with me, he got laid off at the same time. So I sold all my portion of the business to him. And I said, stars are aligning. God's looking down on me. However you want to, guys want to look, and girls want to look at it out there. But it's like, it was in my mind that whole time that franchising thing was a wonderful thing. I had a real fun time doing that franchising thing. So I said, I got to get back into that franchising thing on there. Oh, and I wanted to kind of get out of the corporate world before I was 50. So lo and behold, I was 49 and a half, got laid off. It's like, perfect timing. I love it. So I said, now is it. I've got to do something different. I got to do something where I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. And of course, have the money to do it as well. Pay the bills, feed the family, that sort of thing. Kind of important on that. So I went, at that point in time, I just went out and just started looking at franchising, and I went click happy, had about 20 different franchise development people calling me, but I finally got a hold of a franchise consultant who made the process much more streamlined, a whole lot less confusing. And that's when I got into my Schooley Mitchell telecommunications consulting franchise. Did that for a couple of years. And then I thought, I really like what that franchise consultant was doing. They get to help people not only all over the country, but all over the world, get into franchising. So I said, I like that. Besides, I get to work from home when I do that as well. So I don't have to travel and do all the driving all the time. So you could spend your day just calling people, talking to people, helping people get what they want out of life, so that you can get what you want out of life. And I could do it from the comfort of my own home, which is even better.
That's awesome. I love it. One of my favorite people on this planet is William Shatner. William Shatner, the thing I like about him is he reinvents his life himself all the time. And it's just a beauty to watch. And I love having conversations with people who are like that, because there's a degree of faith that it's built into that type of movement and moving from one to another. And I tell them, we didn't come here on this planet to have jobs. In that mindset of job, when you say that to me, there's so much limitations within that space of job. I love that Greg started an entrepreneur mindset at the age of 10. That mindset is not able to sit in a job for a pretty long time. So that's why when you keep saying, keep getting bored, that mind of an entrepreneur is constantly making inquiries, if you will, about other things outside of the box. And so a job, to me, constrains us inside boxes. So I want to challenge you guys that have been listening to Greg and I. Quiet yourself sometimes. And, no one's telling you to quit your job. Quiet yourself. You've been rumbling within yourself. Do some research. Talk to your wife. Talk to your husband. Talk to that individual. You never know what they are going to say. Talk to a friend. Talk outside, and you will never know. So here you are, 49 and a half, you jumped out and you back into this franchise thing. You saw what the consultants did. And that's the piece that is attracting you to it. As you began to move and navigate towards it, Greg, what tools, what did you bring in? What did you need to do in order to um, synchronize, if you will, that meeting that you had in your mind with this particular profession?
But this particular time, Ken, I had to learn what and how to work with people who are making a big jump in life. They're making a huge decision in life going into business for themselves. Quite a few
Yeah.
people were like myself. They got laid off and they wanted to do something not in the corporate world. So I had to learn how to work with those folks and how to help them get what they want. On that, realizing the fact that mine was a pretty immediate decision. I'd already been in the franchising world, so I had a pretty good idea I wanted to go there, but not everybody does. So
Yeah.
I couldn't do the standard sales approach, just trying to sell the franchise system off as something that, is the greatest thing since sliced bread, because for some people it's just not. And they just won't work out as entrepreneurs or franchisees. So my part I had to think about is, how do I educate these people about their option to go into the world of franchising? So you can go, privately owned business, you can go franchising on that. There's good and bad points about those. On that, it just really depends on the individual. So I had to find out, how do I get to know these individuals to figure out if franchising is right for them to begin with, and help them down that path of helping them learn for themselves whether or not franchising is right for them. And then it is, which franchise is right for them. So I had to read a lot of different books on different sales approaches. Still sales. Everybody does sales every day. When we're working
Mhm.
with people, we're working with the family. We do sales and family
Yeah.
gatherings
Yep.
as well. It's all negotiations and
Yeah.
and helping everybody get what they want and going to a common goal. So I really had to learn how to work with him after being an engineer for 15 years. It was just like, here's the data. This is great data. It shows you exactly everything it is. Let's make a decision right now,
Yeah.
because we got to. You couldn't do
Yeah.
that. Couldn't do that. Had to be patient. Had to be persistent. Have to be understanding. Having to give them a clear, guided path towards the end goal of them streamlining the process of looking into franchising as an option, but then having that information, enough information gathered for themselves so that they could make that informed decision of whether or not this was the right time and place to be doing this. And if it is, then which of the franchises would work out best for them. So definitely a learning curve. I read a lot of books, educated myself on various things, not only the different franchises I work with, but then how to work with people and educate them on the franchising option.
Hey guys, again, I hope you guys are paying attention, but we're going to provide everything that all his links and stuff like that, so you can get to Greg. For those that are there, you're not happy, that marker that I talked about earlier at your current position, um, before you get laid off. And laid off will force a lot of us into getting our stuff. Those are the ones I tell ourselves, Greg. Those are the stubborn ones that like us, because that uneasiness was there for a little while, but we didn't do anything about it until we get laid off. And then you're like, you know what? I need to go and get this thing moving. And so I'm talking to you guys, those ones that have that uneasiness within you, and you've never even thought about a franchise. You never even crossed your mind, because not a lot of people are talking about it, but Greg is. And I'm going to provide everything for you guys to get access to him, so that he can guide you. He can talk to you to see if this is something that you would be open to, and to kind of make you guide you to the right one, so that you're not there in a space that you don't like. And that's what I like about Greg's piece. As I was reading all of the different things, that he's working with you to find you within the space of franchising, and then just plug you into which ones he feel will be fitted with your personality, your mindset, your stuff like that. That's some good stuff. So here you are, right? Someone comes to you. Let's say I'm a newbie, and I'm investigating. I want you to walk us through, so that those that are hearing or contemplating can get a kind of a gist of how you work with them and how you guide them. A newbie comes in and he's not sure what he wants to do, but he's kind of like tipping his toes. How do you approach this newbie and having the conversation, if you will, and making him aware of his opportunities within the franchise arena?
Well, Ken, the first thing that happens is that you schedule a time on my calendar. That's what most people do, is they schedule a time to talk with me. Our first phone call is that I'm going to ask you to ask me anything you want to know about me and anything you want to know about franchising. So I want to make certain that you are comfortable working with me to go on to the next step. That's the first thing that we want to do on that. The other thing I want to do is kind of get to know why. Why are you looking to do franchising at this point in time? What are your expectations for a franchise? Making certain that they're realistic, that you have a realistic view of the franchises on that. So get to know me, make sure you have a realistic view, ask me anything you want. Then I send you out a questionnaire to fill out on that one. In our next phone call, we'll go through that questionnaire together. The next phone call is going to be all about you, Ken. We're going to talk about you for a half hour, however long it takes. Where have you been? So what do you bring to the table? You know, those boxes in your head are golden. All that those things that you've done in your past life, all that information that you have and those experiences that you had in your head are golden. There's a lot of franchises that are looking for people just like you on that. So your information is great. Where have you been? What do you bring to the table? Where are you at now? What kind of time do you have to invest? Do you want to invest? What kind of money are you comfortable investing in a franchise system? So where are you at and now, time and money wise? What are we looking at here? Because not all franchises are full-time. You can do many of them semi-absentee. There's a few of them you can do completely absentee. So it's all a matter of, you can keep your day job, you can keep your other business and work this on the side. I work businesses on the side. It's doable if you are comfortable doing that. The next thing is, where do you want to be 5 to 10 years from now? What are your expectations for the franchise? A lot of people just like running businesses. If that's what you want to do, we can get you a couple different businesses. You can run those. If that's your life's passion, you can do it. If you want to do something that's semi-passive on the side, so now you have time for friends, family, things that you want to do, then we'll find one to do that. You want to leave a legacy for your kids. You want to build generational wealth. You just want to build wealth. You just want to make certain that you have enough money where you can do what you want when you want. So we look at where do you want to be 5 to 10 years from now as we build that franchise system up. And then from there, we will go over a few different industries. We'll go over a few different franchises. I'll pick out 5 or 10 different ones. The ones that we'll get back together again, we'll narrow that search down to 2 or 3 that look good to you. Then together, we'll go through the investigation of that franchise system. Again, getting you educated on how franchising works, getting you the information that you need to make that informed decision. Is franchising right for you to begin with? And if it is, which of these franchises is the best fit for you?
That is valuable stuff, guys. Valuable stuff, and I appreciate how Greg laid out how he walks with that individual, takes the time, invests in the time that he is interested in getting to know you, because you are the key, the centerpiece of it all. And being the centerpiece of it all, he needs to understand where you're at and your goals within that franchise industry, because it is a pretty competitive industry. I have a couple of friends that are in there, and so you need to know where you belong. And there's nothing like knowing where you belong, because your confidence, there's a certain degree of confidence that comes with that and being in that space. So Greg laid out to you guys how he does it. So all of you that are thinking about it, you know what to expect when you get into the space. And again, I've told you guys, I'm going to give you all that information. So here you are, Greg, you signed up for it. You found your assignment. I tell people, just find your assignment. Your life will be different. There's joy. There's just a degree of peace and rest, but it's not all, there's challenges, but it's not challenges that will cause you to lose your mind. It's just when you're at that space, you look at it as opportunity to grow. And so here you are. Walk us through, Greg, one of your challenges that you had, that someone showed up and you did the same thing as to how you guided them. And when they got up or obtained their goals, their freedom, I know what it did to you, because I know what it does to a servant to see that movement. What did it do to that individual? And how did they make that adjustment? And what I know sometimes I try to tell people it's such an emotional event that some people cry, some people just laugh, some people just silent, but it's an emotional impact. Invite us, Greg, to one of those journeys when someone came to you and now you educated them and they came in and they are beyond themselves.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting with Ben and Trish. They came in, they're real estate investors, and they were looking to get into a brewery to begin with. So we went through the entire process of, the whole thing. Where have you been? Where are you at now? Where do you want to be? Ben wanted to do the business on the side, so he wanted a semi-passive business. We looked into a couple different things. Trish was very involved in the conversations, but she was kind of in the background running the real estate properties. As it turned out, in the end, we got them into an electrical services franchise of all things, kind of away from the brewery thing. They realized that was more appropriate with where they wanted to be and where they were going, with a whole lot less of an investment. And at the very end, Trish stood up and said, "You know what? I can run that business. I can do that myself. We don't need to do that semi-passively. That's completely doable." And so this year they made Rookie of the Year on that.
Oh, wow.
They were doing so well. It was just really amazing. She was just really thrilled that after learning. So she went through all that education, all that learning, paid attention, said, pictured in her mind what needed to be done. And she just said, bingo, that's me. I can do that. Great feeling. I've had other people where they've been in the business for about 3 years. They give me a call back and they say, I built it up to where I want to be. Let's get this one sold and let's get another one on that. Which is really, really satisfying when they built it up to where they get a good income all along the way. And now they've got something great to sell where they make even more money on the sale. That's wonderful. That was a kitchen remodeling franchise that person got into. And then another one of my people got into a senior care franchise. And this one requires you to be full-time, to do it.
Yeah.
But as it turned out, he built it up to where it was pretty much operating itself. So he didn't need to do it full-time anymore. He had a manager doing it. So even though some of these franchises say they want you full-time to begin with, once that business runs and runs smoothly, you can hire a manager to do it. And that's what he did. And he's like, I'm getting bored, Greg. I think I need another business to do. I'm going to keep this. But I want something more to do on that because I got plenty of time. So we ended up getting him into adding another one into his portfolio. So those are all, it's a great feeling when they succeed like that. And I've had a couple people, get into the Millionaire Club, running their business, picking up additional franchises along the way as well. Always a great feeling to hear those stories.
Yeah, those stories are good medicine, if you will, for you as well as the individual, to see them transition from one perspective to another and just keep moving and moving and moving. Again, all of you that are listening to Greg and I, and I'm so glad he came, because many of you, didn't know that this aspect of business or industry was out there, and someone to guide us and walk with us to help us to understand it, to see that maybe we can fit there. I'm so honored that he is here, because many of you have an opportunity now to think of something different. And I said it on the onset, I'll give you guys everything that is necessary to get to him, because this can set your family free. He told us a couple of stories of success stories, and you might be one of those that are listening to this podcast. You may be one of them, and I'm urging you guys to get in touch with him and find out if you are one of those. Greg, thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment. This has been a good one, man. I appreciate you taking the time to educate us that there is an opportunity within the franchise industry that we had no knowledge of, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Ken. It's been an honor and a privilege. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.